I think it's been going on for at least 2 or 3 years. And yes, the previous, or rather past governments in this state have worked very hard, all right, to say, look, we need to decentralize Port Harcourt, and get development to spread to other communities. And, I'm sure some of you are going to call in very shortly and, wade in on this matter. But here it is for us this morning. You see, there are still some people who do not quite know who or where the feeder towns are, or what feeder towns are in this area. So first and foremost, now towns nearby rural areas that are comparatively bigger in size and are well connected through transport, which makes them resourceful to their neighbors, are usually regarded as central town, and those towns are the feeder towns. See, from the word feeder towns, they are feeding, if it's power, and funny enough, it's a two-way street. So a bigger place such as Port Harcourt will act as the feeder for the smaller city or smaller towns, smaller rural areas, in the sense that money, when big government contracts come and some people are working there, they will send those monies home. They feed those places, and then those places in turn will supply us, those of you who are resident in Port Harcourt, with food, raw material, and even labor, right? But there's a problem. Because some of you don't realize, a lot of people look at Port Harcourt as, Port Harcourt is that big town, everybody loves to come to. But what if I was to tell you that Port Harcourt is a feeder town to somewhere else? So this morning, I'm asking you, can you identify the feeder towns around Port Harcourt? That's my first question. Number 2, what factors are limiting the development of these feeder areas? Number 3, which is the one I'm really curious about, is Port Harcourt a feeder town or feeder city to any area? Do you have an idea if there are areas within this locale that Port Harcourt is feeding, maybe resources, maybe personnel, something like that? Any particular city coming to mind, a particular area? Well, let's find out from you this morning. Let's see how you know how things work within this area. My name is Jude. You're most welcome to Hello Port Harcourt.
And now, Hello Port Harcourt with Jude on 92.3 Nigeriainfo.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo, let's talk.
Zero 017-923-0002, 017-923-0007. At Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. All right, WhatsApp, Telegram, you will find us with the number 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. Once again, just in case you didn't know, there are feeder towns. The question is, do you know if River State is, or Port Harcourt is a feeder town to somewhere, feeder city? And if you do, where is that particular place? Don't forget, why are some of these rural areas not as developed as they should be? Because it's a feeder area. People get certain things from those areas. It's meant to be a symbiotic relationship, but it doesn't seem. In fact, some people even describe it as a parasitic relationship. And then the first question: can you identify the feeder towns around Port Harcourt? Maybe you're listening to us right now and you are in a feeder town. Do call in and let's have a conversation, shall we? All right, first message here says, good morning. Feeder towns are not progressing because the government do not share the money around. Everything is always centralized, and it's not only in Port Harcourt. Most of the states in this country have all the resources centered along the capital city. That is why those feeder towns look more like villages, if anything at all. Frederick, they look more like villages, if anything at all. Kel was on the line. Kel, apologies, there seemed to be a drop call scenario. No fault of ours, I have to say that. So please do call 08179230002, 08179230007. Let's just quickly rush down to Facebook and X at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. Zion is in GRA. Zion, good morning to you. Welcome to Hello Port Harcourt.
Thank you for this discourse. Number one feeder town to Port Harcourt I can give you is Ogibo. Ogibo people are people that run the economy of Port Harcourt. 70% of the day-to-day activities are coming from Ogibo.
Really?
The building of houses, the running of other logistics, the guns you eat, the fruits and vegetables, the manpower and other electrical. Mention it. If you remove the Ogibo people, even from the logistics on Aba Road and other routes in Port Harcourt here, because Port Harcourt now is a case study, is being traced down to Ogibo.
Okay, fine. That's Ogibo. Now, that's one. Now, do you think Ogibo is not as developed as this other areas?
It's not as developed.
Why? Why is
I'm using one. I know there are other local politics going on in Ogibo local government as a whole. But I think the arms of the government subsequently have not been directed to Ogibo.
Okay.
Ever since the last administration led by Peter Odili cited one or two projects in Ogibo, after that, nothing.
All right,
administration comes, they never feeded on Ogibo. But these people are growing the economy of Port Harcourt.
Zion, thank you. Let's hear from Kelvin. Kelvin is not George. Kelvin, good morning to you, please.
Okay, yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Kelvin.
I think, actually, I think Port Harcourt is actually a feeder town to Lagos. Yes. And we use even I'll use your station as an example. You have a lot of your OAPs who started from Port Harcourt and are now in Lagos. From Ufoma to even Kofi, and maybe even you too. Who knows, very soon you'll soon charter to Lagos. So I think Port Harcourt is more or less a feeder town to Lagos.
So
and it cuts across various sectors too, not just the media.
Fine. Let's accept that. But what about the feeder towns around Port Harcourt? Do you know them? Have you visited them?
Not really. I think Port Harcourt is like the biggest town around there because fits off Yenegua, fits off even Owerri. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Kelvin, thank you very much. Kelvin says Port Harcourt feeds off, Yenegua, feeds off Owerri. But you won't argue about the quality of development in Yenegua and Owerri. Those are further away. What about the immediate rural areas in River State? That's the big one for us. We'll be back after this break. Stay tuned. identify the feeder towns around Port Harcourt. Now, what factors limit the development of these feeder areas? And I'll tell you why we're going to talk about, or why we're talking about this. Number 3 is Port Harcourt, a feeder city to any area. Now, the last caller said, well, he believes that Port Harcourt is the feeder city to Lagos. And he used the example of some of the men and women who have, held a microphone inside this studio. All right. So, do you agree with him? All right. And then, very importantly, why exactly is Port Harcourt? Why exactly is Benin? Why exactly is Onitsha, rather? And all the other capital cities, usually the key areas or the central areas where development seems to come through. Yet, they gain sustenance from these feeder areas. They are also feeder areas to these rural places. There's no doubt about it. Like I said, ideally, there should be a symbiotic relationship. You get your foodstuff or whatever from the rural community, the rural areas. Obviously, we get your money, but you should get something. Sometimes your expertise, is needed. Obviously, telecom towers need to be built and all those things. They're not going to be, resident. They're the engineers, so they usually come from cities such as Port Harcourt. And if you've traveled, if you're observant, if you've traveled by road, like say anywhere around the Nigeria, anywhere in this country, you may have seen, pickup trucks and vehicles, with engineers who are going to some places to do some certain type of work. Yes, they do. Maybe they're going to change the panels for something that was bad. Maybe they're going to change a valve for something that was bad. And guess what? When they get there, they'll buy plantain, they'll buy okra, they'll buy leaves and whatever. Money's exchanged, people move, people are happy. But the biggest problem many see, particularly in the contemporary state that Nigeria is in, is that there's so much focus on the capital cities. And so the feeder towns, the feeder areas, seemingly just keep being, depleted. So let's get back to you this morning. And once again, the number to send us your message is still 0809 030 6416, 0809 030 6416, 0809 030 6416, 0809 030 6416. That's WhatsApp and Telegram. Please do not call that number. Please, let me say it as slowly as I can. Please do not call the last number. But if you want to call us and talk to us, we have numbers for that. 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003.
Stimulating and insightful conversations. Hello, Port Harcourt. 92.3 Nigeriainfo. Let's talk.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo. Let's talk.
All right, so welcome back. This one says, Jude, good morning. One of the feeder towns in this area has to be Emoa. Jude, every single day you have a lot of people who come from Emoa just across the Choba Bridge every single day. Some of them are students, some of them are Okada men, some of them are market women. They live far away and yet they come every day. Thankfully, the roads are much better than they used to be when we were younger, and the bridges also help. But there needs to be more work done. And I think the reason why a lot of these places are not developed is because the government refuses to share the money. It's all politics. Whenever the money comes, you see one or two politicians will go and build hotels and houses and then leave the people to suffer. I spent at least 9 years within the Uniport area, that's Choba area, and I think this message, there is credibility in this message. MO is just, once you just get past the Choba Bridge, right? Just go down Choba Junction, just keep going, but you just get down, all right? You're in Rumuji. In fact, it's so close that you have what do you call them? Motorcycles, Okada, that apply. In fact, I believe we have a story on that. Wait a minute. Yes, we do. Commercial drivers operating along the MOA Calabari Road say the construction has made their operations easier. You see, roads will make interactions between feeder towns and all those around them improve. Let's get to listen. I think we can actually get to listen to the comments. Let's do that. That should give us an insight into this conversation.
The transporters of Abonima and Buguma Road, we sincerely appreciate the governor of River State completing the Emowa Calabari Road. It will help vehicle to move freely both in the night and the daytime. Once it's evening, the light comes up.
The road that really they help us. These few days we'll begin apply. Before we apply that road like almost 2 hours before we get to there, and a lot of our cars they go bad. We don't since our vehicles they apply freely, come freely, and in the night you will even enjoy it mostly safe. You can even off your light, flow till Choba direction.
With the good road we have now, our cars will be sound, we will go smoothly to and fro. One issue we have in Nigeria.
So you heard that, right? Boma is on the line. Boma is speaking to us from Aji. Boma, good morning to you, please.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
One of the fear time we have to that court, the River City is Buguma we have producing oil within the state, River State, Nigeria. We have over 200 and something oil wells there, but nothing is happening. We have also Bakana, the Ograwo there. The Bakana have cotton channel 1, 2, 3. Also, nothing is happening. It's now you can always see that they are trying to do to favor the feeder towns around Dakana, Bukuma, and Ograwo, which is Dakana and some other ones.
I'm guessing you're from that area because you have extensive knowledge, Buma.
I have the knowledge over there. I'm from there, but Bukuma also from Dakana. So I know much more concerning that area.
Okay,
so have access to the place.
So let me ask you, how is the access, from that area to Port Harcourt?
The access from that area to Port Harcourt is used flamboat. The access is flamboat they use. It's now they want the state government want to create Trans-Calabari route to that area. This is phase 2. They approve that one. They want to go into it today.
Although I feel it's still within Port Harcourt, but would you consider Eleme as a feeder area to Port Harcourt? They're basically neighbors. This person here says that good morning. One of the feeder towns is Eleme, and the LGA is one of the biggest in the state. Yet we don't have a lot to show for it. Yes, 1 or 2 roads have been built. Eleme has received a lot of attention, good sir. Eleme has received a lot of attention in recent years. But I'm not saying it shouldn't get more. Please don't get me wrong. Don't take me out of context. But Eleme is very close. In fact, where are we? A few minutes drive, another 20-30 minutes now, we'll probably be at Eleme Junction. But anyway, I'll throw it open once again. All right. Do you know the feeder towns? What are the feeder towns in and around Port Harcourt? All right. What factors limit the development of these feeder towns? And number 3, is Port Harcourt a feeder city to any area that you know of? All right. Let's find out from you how important, Port Harcourt is in the grand scheme of things. 017-923-0002, 017-923-0003, 017-923-0002, 0817923-0003. At Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. At Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. All right. That's where you'll find us, and there's so many conversations. You really should be on that page, getting all the information, getting all the best conversations for Port Harcourt in particular. And then you send us a message on WhatsApp, and that will be Telegram. That will be 0809 030 6416, 0809 030 6416. All right. What are the quote unquote feeder towns that you know within this axis? And very importantly, what are the factors inhibiting their development? They cannot just be rural areas forever. Tom is in Elele. Tom, good morning to you, please.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome. Welcome.
How are you? Yes. Feeder areas and within Port Harcourt. I think my area is a feeder area to Port Harcourt. I'm calling you from Elele. Elele is a Ikwere local government area. And I think the Ikwere local government area is a feeder area to Port Harcourt. After Elele, you get another feeder area which is Aosta. And Elele is a confluence community that you can take to the east, can take to any part of the south. You can take Elele to Elele and lead to the west. And people do take Elele. It's a confluence community, even here in River State. And even within the Port Harcourt. I'm telling you this because I know the topographic area of River State. And the topographic area of River State has clearly stated my community as one of the feeder communities to Port Harcourt within the city. But the problem we are having is that government has forgotten some of these landmarks.
Forgotten? Really?
These are landmarks that are supposed to initiate good developmental access to the feeder city being Port Harcourt. Emowa, just like we said, the Cuba area, other parts are also feeder areas to Port Harcourt. But what's happening? The government has forgotten all those places. They have forgotten the blueprint. For example, if you want to know some of these feeder areas, wherever you have the Delta Hotel situated in River State, like in my community, we have the Delta Hotel. Those are part of the feeder communities that have those feeder institutes. We have at Ishopo, we have at Elele, we have at Aoda, we have at but government just forget all these feeder communities. My name is Tom Polo. I'm calling you from Elele. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning to you. He says the government has failed, has forgotten these feeder communities. That's why you don't have development in those areas. They should be much better than they are. Okay, all right. I'm not surprised to get to hear that. A lot of people just readily point the accusatory finger towards government, and maybe rightly so. 0809 030 6416, 0809 030 6416. Please do not call that number. All right, please do not call the last number I just reeled out. All right, please, that number is strictly for the reception of messages. All right, so 0809 030 6416. 6416. All right, that's where you find us on WhatsApp and on Telegram. Dude, many of the feeder towns in this area are underdeveloped because of political ramblings. Because it does not make sense that in 2024, most of the communities, first and foremost, don't have good access roads as basic as roads are. And then, most importantly, if they had power, dude, I can guarantee you many people who are living in Port Harcourt will move away from Port Harcourt main city and move to these other areas. And when people start to go to where there's traffic, guess what? They easily become developed. There's a reason why all the areas around Lagos are very well developed. It's because of road access. Frankly, road access and power. Now, I think I have to agree with Franklin on that access, because the minute you just come through, right, from Ogun State, in fact, these days, you can't really tell the borderline, the boundary between Ogun State and Lagos State. You can't. The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, you have factories, you have mega churches, you have industries, you have estates. And I'm not talking about estates where you have like 10, 20 houses. I'm talking about estates that have upwards of about 200, 300, 400 buildings spread. Some of them have like their own mini communities. I know people who live in Ogun State, like Ogun State proper. They live in Ogun State, yet they commute every day. I'm very sure they still do that today. This is Lagos of like 15 years ago, right? When we were in school, they would commute from Ogun State every morning. 6 o'clock, they're out of the house. They're going to Lagos. They're going to Surulere. They're going to Maryland. They're going to Ikeja. That's where their offices were at that time. And every day by 4 p.m. they make the 2-hour trip back to their place in Ogun State. Every single day. But I know that happens here in Port Harcourt, right? Because I think Zion made mention that, look, there's some people coming from Oyigbo every day. I know that people coming from Emoa, Rumoji every day. But what's the proportion? What's the size? What's the size? Now, it's one thing for them to come from that area to Port Harcourt. What about you in Port Harcourt? When was the last time you had any reason to go to Emoa, to go to Rumoji, to go to Oyigbo? That's what Franklin is saying. Lagos, I can bet you that people who have been in Surulere for the past, let me not be too heavy-handed, I would say 2 years, right? They have not been to Lagos Island. They're in Lagos. Nothing takes them to the island. And I'm very sure there are also people on the Lagos Island who have not set foot in Ikorodu, in Isaleko, Ajegule, Maryland. Yeah, Maryland, maybe because it's not too far from, VI, Ikeja, but, further away, Ketu, Maito, I'm very sure. But they're all well connected. They're feeding off each other, but, don't necessarily have to go there. Rukwaku is a feeder area to Port Harcourt, Brightner in Woji. Rukwaku now, well, it's becoming more and more exposed. More and more residential areas are popping up around Rukwaku. So maybe you could argue that. Ibiso, he's speaking to us from Audley Road. Ibiso, good morning to you, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I want to agree with Mr. Zion and the man that called from Elele. Now, Jude, I think the time where you live in Lagos, if from Ikeja you are going to Island, how many local government are you crossing before Island?
That's true. You pass Etiosa as well. You pass a few before you get to the island.
No. You know why I ask this question? If now, for example, you are from Agege, you are going to Ikeja. You enter Ikeja without knowing that you live Agege local government.
Very true.
Yeah, except somebody said that, this is the KJO.
Very true.
That is how Lagos is. If you are from mainland going to island, you don't know how many local government you cross. The only thing your mindset is, I'm going to island. So if you're doing development, link all these areas like Emowa, Ogoni area, all these areas to the city. Dude, many people will go back to their locality and start coming from to work there. Then, okay, now the man is staying in Agege. That is his own Jerusalem. They don't even have people that are staying in Ireland. And sometimes you and your siblings will not see each other for 1 year in Lagos. In Lagos. So if the government are serious, link all these old HAs to the city. As now the government is carrying a road to the rural area. So you see that many people will even stay in their village and be calling Nigeriainfo. They will not come to Port Harcourt. Everything will be just okay with everybody. But once you make everything to be in one place, you see that cry will still be there. Take Lagos, for example, or take Ibadan. Some people are coming from work from Ibadan to Lagos.
Yes, that I've seen several times.
So you see that now if you are coming after the redeem camp, except somebody say that, you enter Lagos, or you just see that beggar bridge, and see that 3 men, you know that you are in Lagos. So they should do something to link up the rural area. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ibiso. That's Ibiso from Odili Road. All right, 01792300003. I know I made mention a while ago that you shouldn't call the WhatsApp number, and yet someone just did. All right, so if you want to speak to us, please, it is 08179230003. 08179230007, please. All right, don't call the last number. The last number is strictly for the reception of WhatsApp messages, please. All right, this one says Port Harcourt is so underdeveloped. I traveled to Lagos recently and I was amazed with what I saw. Transformation and well developed, but here in Port Harcourt is not so at all. If you should tell someone living in town you stay in Rukoko, Choba, Oyigbo, Eleme, it sounds weird to them. But like I said, when we started up, the idea of feeder towns or feeder cities is interdependency. Towns nearby those rural areas, right, are comparatively bigger in size. Port Harcourt is bigger than, that's the Port Harcourt main town. Port Harcourt main city has from, Aba Road down all the way to old Port Harcourt town, when you get to, the naval base, marine base, cemetery, all those areas, further away, right? It's much bigger, than, the Ahoda that everybody knows. And yes, I agree with you. It doesn't. If someone wants to tell you, "Oh, I live in Oyigbo," you probably think, why are you staying there? That's a rural area now. It's a rural area now. Okay, all right. Now, hi, good morning, Charles here, Pastor Charles. Oyigbo is a major feeder community to Port Harcourt City, as recognized by the former governor Ameji. The government of Wike neglected Oyigbo. I strongly believe that the present government of Sim will surely remember Oyigbo in the area of road infrastructure. You should consider internal roads, especially the numerous estates in Oyigbo North area. Thank you. The numerous estates. He said, oh yes, there are lots of residential places around there. But the question is, how many people are there? How many? Yes. So we know that what you call it, food services, come from there. People will probably leave their houses, coming to Port Harcourt to work, but they'll all go back. But as the cost of transportation increases, guess what? More people are going to be looking for places within the Port Harcourt metropolis so that they can stay. Ergo, the rise in the cost of rent. It's a very difficult thing to actually imagine that it could be cheaper, but it is not cheaper. It's not cheaper because, like I said, everybody wants to be in Port Harcourt. Everybody wants to be, and I mean everybody. If you're not in Port Harcourt, you're not anywhere. You will see, but hey, what does Jude know? All right, so let's quickly wrap this up. We have a break coming up, and then there's something very heavy on my chest this morning. All right, we'll talk about that after the 10 o'clock news and whatnot. All right, we'll get to talk about that later on. It's very heavy. I can't wait to get it off because it's been eating me up for at least 3 weeks. At the very least, 3 weeks. All right. Sabi Paddy on Facebook says migration of the best brains to the city and the centralization of most projects in the capital city limits limits the development of feeder towns. I think Oyigbo, Eleme, Elele, and some Echie communities, and even Bori are good feeder towns. That's Sabi Paddy. Well, you know what they say? Change is the only thing that is constant. So let's see. My name is Joe. Thank you as always for joining us on the conversation. The conversation still continues on Facebook and on X. Get in, engage, interact at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH. Once again, that will be on Facebook and on X at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH. We'll be back after the break.
We talk about everything. 92.3 Nigeria.